He began working at Walmart as project manager and has served in numerous financial capacities throughout his career there. He attended Oral Roberts University and spent his senior years studying abroad in Valencia, Spain, earned his MBA at Missouri State University. Please welcome MEL 2016 speaker, Ralph Clare.
My name is Ralph Clare and I'm from the Bahamas. Before I get started, always have your theme music. When I'm walking through those halls at Walmart, I feel like when I walk down those halls, this is what everybody else hears. That soundtrack. This guy is serious business. He's about it. So don't mess with this guy. So today is part 2 of my topic, Thinking Big, Starting Small. Yesterday, I went through my story, coming from the Bahamas, the whole process of now working at Walmart, the people that got me there, influenced me, guided me, and a few things that kind of had to change in my life for me to be successful there. Today I'm going to talk about 2 things specifically. We're going to talk about success principles and then getting started. So each of these slides, we'll go through multiple steps. Please take notes, and then save your questions for later on today. But these are the things that made me successful. It's not to say that these are the things that are going to make you successful, but the principles that I've applied here have worked for me. They've been tried and true, and they work for several different types of people. So let's go ahead. So starting off, attaining desired success will be the result of 5 key components: idea generation, due process, strategy, people, and hard work. So let's go ahead and get started with idea generation. So yesterday I talked about, the whole process of, hard work and applying different components for me every day, day in, day out. Talked about the day at the job and work and what that looks like. It didn't start just randomly, like on a whim. It was a result of something that I intended to do. So everything that's in my life right now is intentional. I expected it and desired it to happen. So first I started with idea generation. Who do I want to be? What do I want to be? What do I want to, when I grow up, who do I want to impact? All those different elements. You have to define yourself. You got to share your idea of who you want to be with somebody else. Attract helpers and eliminate detractors. Now, when I say eliminate, I don't mean like take them out, right? Just don't talk to them anymore. Just remove them from the scenario. This is something that's very important, right? Because in order to know where you're going, you essentially have to have a roadmap. You have to have an idea of how to get from A to B. And that's that definition process. So what am I going to do to get me to where I want to be? And then communicating that to people that you love and trust so they can help you to refine and make some tweaks and make some adjustments. Or so you could just have a point of view of what people are going to say whenever you give them this great idea, and always be prepared for what's next. So define yourself, share your idea, attract helpers that could help that vision, and eliminate detractors. Due process. I call this learning to learn. This one is very challenging. It was essentially for me when I talked about yesterday the goals that I had, and I wanted to be a director in 2 years after joining the company and not actually knowing anything about retail. I had to go through a process after a discussion that I had with a leader to learn. I had to figure out how to learn. Everybody learns differently. Some people learn visually. Some people could read a book and go, execute a surgery. There's some people that learn differently. So you have to figure out your way of learning and then take that approach. Going through the due process for me, I always take the most difficult challenge, right? If you have 2 options in a particular field, one's easy, one's hard. For me, especially at the rudimentary level, when I'm getting in, I'm trying to figure things out, I usually try to take the most difficult path. Why? Because you usually get credit for it. If you take the option that is most difficult, in most cases people know that is the most difficult option and you automatically get credit for it. So when I had an opportunity, for instance, when I started out in finance, I had 2 options. I could have either went to New York and worked in our apparel organization in apparel finance where I had relationships, or I could have worked in segment FP&A. Now, segment FP&A, that was a tough role. Out of that team, when I left, 5 people got promoted, 5 people got fired. That was the type of job that I was taking as a manager, which didn't know much about finance in Walmart. So I took the most challenging option, went through the process, went through the fire, and learned and got credit for it. Secondly, surround yourself with intelligence. You don't want to be around people that can't help you, right? That cannot advise you, give you guidance. If you're around people and you're the smartest guy in the room, time to get out of that room. You're in the wrong room. You don't want to be there. You want to be around people that can help and guide you, give you guidance, provide thoughts. You can bounce ideas off of and they can give you things that make sense. Make mistakes. During the due process period, you're allowed to make some mistakes. As a manager, I could have a typo in a headline or have a typo somewhere in the presentation and they could say, hey, Ralph, I took a look at this. It's okay, fix that. Is that a typo? Yeah, it's a typo. Can you fix that? Sure, absolutely, I can fix it, no problem. I don't know how that happened. I know how it happened, I didn't know what I was doing. So you got the opportunity to make mistakes in the due process. Then you got to learn the players. In the organization or just in life in general, there are people that are going to impact the way you operate. They're going to change the trajectory of your life if you understand who they are and what they could do for you. If you have that ability to identify those players, you could use those energies, use those efforts, and channel them correctly so you could get the return that you need at a later date. So always know the players, identify them, and get a good feel for how they operate. Strategy. Now, when we talk about strategy, a lot of people have this it's like a mystified type deal, right? When I tell people, hey, I work in strategy and finance, it's kind of like, oh my gosh, that's amazing, oh, that's cool. Strategy is just my approach to win. Like, that's all it is. How do you win in the marketplace? How do I win with friends? How do I win with other colleagues? Just how to win. Like, that's all strategy is. It is a structured approach to winning. You want to beat your competitor. How are you going to do that? That's all strategy is. Everybody should have a career strategy, a personal strategy. You should have it. Everybody should have it. With strategy, you identify the weak links. You got to figure out who's out there that you could potentially take what I call market share from, that I could take from, right? Because that's essentially how you get. You have to, it has to come from somewhere. How do you win? You got to determine your competition. When you enter the room, you have to figure out exactly what you're up against. And this is in all aspects of life, in my opinion. I'm not to say that you're going to go and stab them in the back and go and try to take them out. You just need to know what you're up against. That's like when you get on the airplane and they say, hey, here are the exits, blah, 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 this, that, and fifth. Take the light, you go this way, if something happens, jump through the window, whatever. Like, you will figure out exactly when you get on that plane where the exits are and what you need to do in case of an emergency. This is the approach that I take with this, which is I have to figure out exactly what my competition is, who's in the room. If something happens, who do I need to go after? What is happening, blah, blah, blah. This is the approach that I take. So it's not something to kind of hurt somebody else. It's just awareness of what you're up against when you get into a situation, right? Build on your strengths. So this is one that's very important, in my opinion. When I look at people that focus a lot on their weaknesses, I think they waste a lot of time. I think you have to get to a point with your weaknesses where you're effective and efficient, but not to the point where it's now your strengths. You identify your strengths and you always do things to get exponential growth in your strengths. But in the same sense, you have to be able to tread water in those things you're not that great at, right? So exerting too much energy can lead to a wastage of time. And that energy could be used to enhancing your brand, your presence in those things that you are very strong in. So think about those strengths that you have. Don't spend too much time on the weaknesses, but make sure that you could be effective in those things that you'd consider your weaknesses at. And then last point, be perfect. And I put an asterisk on there. I had my wife look through this presentation and she said, I think you have a typo in there. You said be perfect. Do you mean be like excellent? No, I mean be perfect. When I say be perfect, I essentially mean focus on the perception of perfection. When you walk into a room, you want someone to think perfection. That's not to say that there are things that aren't right about what you're doing or whatever, whatever. In the world of finance, you really don't have an option to be wrong. You don't have an option to be incorrect. Everything needs to be accurate and perfect. In my personal life, I try to take that same approach, where when I enter a situation, people know that everything is taken care of. No need to worry. You ask me to do X, X, Y, and Z will occur. They expect perfection out of me, and that's my brand, and that's what I will deliver. It's not to say that during that due process, in that analytical phase, doing that type of work, that there won't be some things that I messed up or I need to fix, and blah, blah, blah. That's on me. When people see me enter a situation, I'm going to be perfect. That's the expectation. So strategically, I'm ready to win. I understand what's expected. I know who my key players are. I know exactly who my competitors are, and I'm ready for perfection. People. You can't do it without people. Every level of success that I've been a part of, I've had the ability to create, could not happen with the right people, without the right people. Either working for me, me reporting to them, giving me guidance, couldn't happen without people. They are the pillars of strength for your success. You cannot do it without people. There's a saying at Walmart, our people make the difference. Because we know that we can put the stuff on the shelves, we can price it right. But if there isn't someone to kind of create that experience for you, there's no emotional connection. There's no reason for you to shop us. We did something years ago where we basically cut a lot of wages, a lot of labor out of the stores, and the experience wasn't there, and guess what happened? People started coming to our stores. Very simple. People make the difference, not only in retail and in business, but in your life. They are instrumental to your success. You cannot do it without the right people. You have to figure out the talent that you need to leverage. So coming into the organization, messing around in Excel and building a ton of models at first wasn't my strength. I identified individuals in the organization that they had that strength, and, oh, by the way, they had a weakness that I was able to quickly identify. Their interpersonal skill might not have been as effective as mine. They couldn't put together a presentation that looked really cool like I could. But they were extremely efficient in some of the more technical components of the job. So I had something to offer. Hey, can you show me how to do X, Y, and Z? I'll show you how to do A, B, and C. As long as there's a mutual ability to exchange, get something, give something, the leveraging of people's talent will always be an effective way to develop yourself. Find mentors. Find mentors that you trust. I had several mentors in the organization. I fired a couple of mentors because I didn't think they were any good for me. And I have leveraged some even to this day for the last 8 years. One of my mentors actually stood in my wedding. He started out, Jeff England, he started out just as an individual that I worked with regularly, was able to connect with him on a few things as he was in finance, said, hey man, I'm interested in finance, can you help me out? He said, sure, I've worked with you, I could vouch for your work, I'll go ahead and pass your resume on. Got a job in finance, and first day on the job, I said, hey, all right, what do I do? He said, hey, this is what you do, blah, 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 gave me the right guidance. Now I'm a senior director in the organization, and he's a vice president of US strategy. He runs the strategic portfolio for all of Walmart US. At the time, he was a senior manager, I was a manager, but I knew that he had the guidance that I needed in order to be successful, and I had something that I could give him as well. Find confidence and leverage your value. So I'm going to spend a little time on finding confidence. You do not want to sound like an idiot to your boss, okay? If he asks you something, you do not want to say, I don't know. That is always the wrong answer. It's always the wrong answer. Hey, can you do this? I don't know if I have time, and I actually don't know what I'm doing. Okay, you're fired. Is usually the response you will get. Find someone that you could be vulnerable with, a trusted person, where you can call them and say, hey, I got a problem. I don't know how to do this. Can you help me? Hey, I have this formula. I don't really know how to solve it. What to do? And then as a kind of developing on the concept of being perfect. And then when you go back to your leadership and you say, hey, I got this solution, they're going to say, man, this guy is amazing. He has all the answers. He has every detail that I need. How did he do it? He has confidants. He has people that he can trust, that he can be vulnerable with, so that when he is back on the spotlight, he appears to be perfect. Hard work. A lot of people shy away from this one. We're in a culture now where it seems like everything is kind of given, and you don't have to be as aggressive with accomplishing your goals. However, things that are valuable, they still take a long time to develop. Gold, it's hard to find. Once you find it, there's a lot of work to get it. Oil, same thing. You can refine the processes, but at the end of the day, there's still a ton of work to do to get it. Diamonds, same thing. Time, process, hard work. You have to be in the mindset that you have to work hard. Now, it's not to say that you're going to be an idiot and just spend forever on the job and not be smart about it, but sometimes you have to get down into the trenches and you have to work hard. You have to do what's necessary. For me, there are many days that I didn't want to go into the office. There are many Saturdays that I didn't want to go into the office. But if I wanted to deliver on what I said I was going to deliver on, it was required of me to go to work on a Saturday, to spend 8 hours there, to tell my wife, see you Sunday. I got a promotion a few years ago, and I said, hey, babe, got a new promotion. See you next year. Clearly didn't quite work out that way, but she got the point, which is, hey, it's going to be some tough days ahead. Exceed expectations. So at Walmart, we have this rating gauge, and the top is role model. It's basically impossible to get there. But right below it is exceed expectations. So, and then right below that is solid performer. You never really want to be like that solid performer kind of area. It's almost like having a girl that you really have a crush on and she always sees you as a friend. You don't want to be in that friend space, right? You want to be the boyfriend. You want to be the man, right? Exceed expectations is being the guy. You want to be the individual that they look at and say, I want you to model yourself after this guy. Hey, you, I want you to lead the talent and development team because I want people to be like you. Exceed expectations and become the model. Set the standard. If you jump in there and the watermark is here, take it there. Figure out exactly what you need to do to take things up 2 or 3 levels. Make your colleagues nervous. When you enter a situation, people should automatically say, oh my gosh, here we go. Or else on the job. Now I got to come in at 6 a.m., I got to leave at 7, I got to do this, I got to do that, because homeboy don't play. Real talk. So when you get into the situations, set the standard. And yesterday we talked a little bit about work-life balance. You define what that is. And you make sure it's something that your family's okay with. Because if your family's not okay with it, you got a problem. If they're not good with it, you got a problem. So you set the definition for yourself, communicate to your family, and make sure everybody's on the same page, and you'll be in good shape. Balance the two, and you'll be in good. It doesn't exactly mean that it has to be equitable, right? I spend more time at the office than I do with my wife. I'm there 8 hours a day at least. And then they go home for a few hours and we hang out and we go to sleep the rest of the time, right? She has to be okay with that to a certain degree, or else we're going to have a problem. So we talk about it regularly. Is this good? You need more time, blah, blah, blah. What do we need to do? Go out for dinner tomorrow? All right, cool. Going to the museum? Great. Can I go back to work now? Sure. Cool. Make sure everything's on the same page. Getting started. So we got 5 steps to get started. So for me, the way it's kind of worked for me essentially is I try to keep it really simple. The first thing is you have to soul search. Secondly, identify best in class. Third, take action but fail quickly. Fourth, monitor success and raise the bar. Fifth, reinvent and have fun. Soul search. Determine what will make you happy and establish your purpose, right? That's the first step. What's going to make you happy? For me, I want to be able to provide for my family. That's going to make me happy. And then making sure that I knew exactly when I joined this company, how long do I think I want to be here? What am I going to do here? How am I going to leverage this going forward? Soul search. Spend some time, determine what makes you happy, figure out exactly what the purpose is, and then get to work. Secondly, identify best in class. Like I said, figure out who there is. There has to be someone in the organization or someone in your life that you really like and want to model yourself after. That kind of, it's kind of like cheating, but it works, right? So if I tell you I need you to do A, B, and C, and you have never done A, B, and C, you should probably look at someone or try to find someone that's done A, B, and C and model yourself after them. Over time, you could then make an adjustment and put your own style and flair in it. But for starters, identify best in class, figure out who does it well, and then emulate them. But do not lose your authentic self. Always keep in mind that there's another piece to it that you want to add that's specifically related to who you are as an individual. Take action, but fail quickly. Move with speed and course correct as needed. Get quick wins to build confidence. So this is basically a page out of Amazon's book. If you look at Amazon, they do everything. I mean, these guys just literally just bought a 747 to deliver packages around the world, air freight. I looked at my guy at Walmart, I was like, are we gonna do something like that too? Because that's pretty cool. They come out with phones. They would kill the phone. All right, this didn't work. Something else, let's do something else. They are always creating something. And if it doesn't work, they get rid of it with speed. That's the environment. Take action. Don't take too long to make a move. Everything won't be perfect when it's time to move. But move. And if it doesn't work, get rid of it, on to the next thing. Move with speed and course correct. Once you start to do this often, you'll get some quick wins, and then you become more confident. You will find that the stuff that you're doing now is working. Your confidence will go up, and you'll be more effective. Monitor success and raise the bar. I used to tell Charo and my friends pretty regularly, and they kind of looked at me and shook their head, because, I mean, you could take this kind of quote the wrong way. But I always say, success is the enemy of progression. Because you tend to get to a place of contentment and happiness and don't continue to excel. You know, not that all my examples are corporately based or organizationally based, but if you look at the world of retail, there are a lot of companies that were at the height of success and then just automatically died, just like instantly, pop, gone. Kmart was the biggest for the longest, and all of a sudden they are irrelevant. You have to constantly assess yourself and monitor yourself and always find ways to be better and benchmark. Benchmark the people that do it well. Figure out exactly what the next level is and then strive to get there. Monitor success and raise the bar. And then lastly, reinvent yourself and have a good time. Your brand will need to change over time to remain valuable, but remember, don't get bored. Don't get too focused on the changing piece where it's not fun anymore. Reinvent yourself and have fun. There's a book, the title is What Got You There, What Got You Here Won't Get You There. It essentially, the principle is that you have to be constantly changing based on the changes in who you're servicing, who you're working with. Reinvent yourself. Do things differently. Find a way to add value to your overall brand. So here are the 5 essentially steps of getting started. We talked about, developing the key principles of success and how to get to work there. These are 5 steps of getting started. You should have everything now in your portfolio to get rolling on some of your biggest goals. And there's nothing that can essentially stop you. If you put the principles in play, You get started. We talked about failing quickly, very important. You cannot fail. You cannot fail. My name is Ralph Clare, and I'm from the Bahamas. Thank you so much for your time.